You are listening to Chronos Void, narrated by the author Douglas Gosselin.
Chapter 1. Fractured Alliances. Rivera's blood did not pool. It climbed. It crept along the ribbed floor plating in a slow, viscous line, as if the room had a slope and his life had become a spill with direction. Alex Rivera lay on his back under the server bay's emergency strobes. His throat was open clean enough to look planned. His eyes were wide enough to look staged. Behind him, a glass wall reflected rows of humming racks. In that reflection, Elias Voss saw his own face twice. Once as the scientist who believed in proof, and once as the story someone would sell. The access door had sealed when the alarm tripped. A red ring around the lock blinked at a steady rhythm, like a metronome keeping somebody else's tempo. Voss stepped around Rivera's outstretched hand and did what his mind always did when horror arrived. It started counting. Cold air, the handlers were overcompensating. Copper and ozone under disinfectant, the steady drone of fan arrays, indifferent as weather. He crouched, careful not to touch. Rivera's tie had been torn loose. One cuff link had snapped and rolled toward the baseboard. Voss noticed it because his brain preferred trivia to the obvious. He forced his gaze to Rivera's neck. The cut ran laterally, rising slightly at the end. No hesitation, no second pass. That detail did not belong in any story where Voss did it. Rivera's tablet still glowed on the floor. An internal dashboard sat frozen mid-log, titled Neural Forge Internal Audit. The last entry waited at the bottom, bold enough to feel like a signature. Root override, E. Voss. Voss felt the floor tilt, not from grief, from recognition. Someone had chosen the one symbol that would not wash off. His first impulse wasn't denial, it was diagnostics. If the log said he did it, the log was compromised. He stood and backed away, palms open, as if proximity itself could be recorded as guilt. The door's red ring turned solid. A voice came through the intercom, filtered and bureaucratic. Neural Forge Security. Occupant, identify yourself. Voss swallowed. His throat clicked. Elias Voss, he said. Rivera is down. He needs medical. A pause, long enough to become policy. Step away from the body, security said. Voss complied. The command had the clean cadence of procedure. He had written procedure. The lock hissed. 2 security officers entered, and a drone followed, lens glossy and hungry. Their hands did not shake. They were trained to see messes as checklists. Hands, the first officer said. Voss raised them. The officer's gaze flicked from Rivera to the tablet to Voss's shoes. Sir, you need to come with us. Look at the cut, Voss said, and hated the way it sounded like pleading. Look at the logs. That override isn't possible. Not our call, the officer said. The second officer lifted Rivera's tablet by the edge, as if it were radioactive. The drone pivoted and recorded Rivera's face, Rivera's throat, the blood that had chosen direction. Voss watched the drone because he could not watch Rivera. His phone vibrated. Lena. He did not answer. If he spoke to her now, it would become part of their timeline, part of an evidence packet, part of whatever story came next. The officer produced cuffs. Voss held his wrists out because resisting would add a paragraph. Metal closed on skin. The click was final, in a way no court ruling ever managed. 4 hours earlier, Alex Rivera had asked Elias Voss for a walk. Not a meeting, not a call, a walk. They stepped into the company courtyard where the landscaping was designed to look like nature and behave like branding. An artificial creek, native plants curated to survive without complaint, cameras disguised as birdhouses. Rivera's hands kept sliding into his coat pockets and then out again, as if he couldn't decide where to hide them. You're not sleeping, Voss said. Rivera laughed without sound. You'd know. You built the model that flags my circadian drift. It flags mine, too. Yeah, Rivera kept his eyes forward. So we're both tagged. Voss stopped. Alex, what is this? Rivera finally met his gaze. Fear, yes, and something like relief. I made a mistake, Rivera said. Voss felt his heartbeat become measurable. Crowe, Voss said. Rivera flinched at the name. Harlan Crowe never threatened in writing. He never needed to. What did he do? Voss asked. Rivera shook his head. It's what I did. He offered. I took. I told myself it was leverage, not betrayal. Voss's mouth went dry. What did you give him? Rivera's voice dropped. The audit key. The courtyard's curated calm became obscene. That key is sealed, Voss said. Only the board and you and me. Only us, Rivera agreed. How? Debt, Rivera said. Not money, not really. He had my sister's oncology portal export. An insurer denial stamped 9/12. Authorization revoked. Next infusion scheduled that afternoon. He had leverage before he had the ask. Voss's thoughts splintered. The audit key doesn't just open systems, he said. It opens histories. Rivera nodded once, a small motion that looked like surrender. I can fix it, Rivera said. I can confess. I can give you everything. Give it to me now, Voss said. Rivera reached into his pocket and produced a matte black hardware token the size of a thumb with a recessed contact pad instead of a plug. His fingers shook. This isn't storage, Rivera said. It's my escrow shard, 1 of 3. Voss stared. For the audit key. Rivera nodded. It unlocks the sealed audit bundle and the board-signed export. Without my print and passphrase, it's dead plastic. With it, you can verify where the access requests originated and when your override appeared. Then give it to an agent, Voss said. Rivera's mouth tightened. If this enters a chain Crowe can touch, it disappears, or it stays, and the story becomes unreadable encryption while you rot and they argue about warrants. I'm giving it to you because you can move faster than process. Rivera's eyes didn't blink. I'm meeting him tonight, Rivera said. He wants proof the key works. He wants logs. He wants a timestamp that says the door will open for him. Voss grabbed Rivera's wrist. You don't go. You can't stop this, Rivera said. I can call legal. I can call... Rivera's laugh turned into something that sounded like grief. Legal. That's adorable. Voss released him. The air smelled like wet concrete. What do you want me to do? Voss asked. Rivera stared at the artificial creek. I want you to survive what's coming. Voss should have demanded specifics. Instead, an old instinct rose. Withdraw, solve, refuse the mess of people. Rivera watched him like he knew. Don't disappear into your head, Rivera said. Voss watched Rivera walk away. The birdhouses watched too. Now, in the security corridor, Voss's wrists hurt under the cuffs. Pain kept him from floating. A federal agent in a gray jacket waited by the elevator, badge turned outward with deliberate clarity. Federal, the agent said. This is bigger than your company. Voss stared. What is? The agent lifted a tablet and angled it so Voss could see. Security footage. Voss entering the server bay at 10:07 p.m. Rivera already inside. At 10:08, the video glitched. Pixel noise. Then Voss standing over Rivera. The agent paused it on that frame because frames were what people convicted with. Your access, the agent said. Your override. Your DNA on the door panel. My DNA is on my building, Voss said. The agent's tone stayed flat. You understand what your problem is, Dr. Voss. My problem, Voss said, is that someone edited time. The agent's eyes narrowed. Don't be cute. I'm not, Voss said. The elevator chimed. The doors opened. A man stepped out in a dark coat that cost too much to look casual. Silver hair, tidy, a smile that never reached the eyes. Harlan Crowe. He did not belong here, which meant he did. Crowe's gaze landed on Voss's cuffs and stayed there half a beat too long. Crowe's smile held like a seal. Elias, he said gently, as if sympathy were a service he provided. You have a problem that evidence won't solve. Voss kept his eyes on him. You're not my counsel. No, Crowe said. I'm the man watching the room decide what it wants to believe. The federal agent shifted, uneasy, but didn't interrupt. Crowe glanced at Rivera's tablet, then back to Voss's cuffs. Right now you're a frame, a frozen image. You can argue about edits for months, or you can give them something they can't ignore. Lena stepped in then, breath still high from running, hair loose, eyes locked on Voss like he was the only thing in danger. Eli, she said, don't. Crowe's gaze slid to her, assessing, then dismissed her with politeness. Dr. Hart. Lena didn't answer him. This is not how you fix it, she said to Voss. This is how they finish it. Voss's mouth tasted of copper. What are you talking about? Crowe answered for her smoothly. Chronos. The word landed like a door shutting, and the agent's jaw tightened. That program is classified. Crowe nodded once, as if he were agreeing with the weather. So is murder investigation procedure, apparently, and yet here we are. Lena's eyes widened. You don't get to say that name. Crowe's tone stayed mild. I get to recommend solutions. You get to object. Voss looked at Lena. You know what that is. Lena's throat moved. She didn't want to speak. Speaking made it real. It's a chamber, she said. A corridor. A wager. Crowe leaned in a fraction, not closer to Voss, closer to the moment. It's an opportunity, he said, for a man who claims the story was edited. Lena's voice sharpened. Nobody comes back. Crowe's brows lifted, almost sympathetic. That's not the official phrasing. Forget phrasing, Lena snapped. None. Zero. One walked in, and then the world stayed clean. No mess. No cleanup. Just a gap they turned into a fundraising line. Voss felt his stomach drop. Then why would I? Because, Crowe said, cutting in softly, you're already convicted in their minds, and you're not going to win with denials. He tipped his head as if offering private advice. You built systems, Dr. Voss. You know what wins. A new signal, a hard artifact, something that travels around gatekeepers. Voss stared at him. And Chronos gives me that. Crowe's voice never rose. That was part of the persuasion. Chronos gives you access to what you can't reach from a holding cell. It gives you a path to the truth, a path that doesn't ask permission. Lena stepped closer to Voss, close enough that he could hear the tremor she was trying to bury. He's selling you a coffin, she said, and he's doing it with your ego. Crowe smiled faintly. I'm selling him a chance. Lena's eyes burned. Eli, listen to me. If you go in, you don't come out. And even if you do, they will own the story of what you are afterward. They will log you into whatever narrative keeps their funding clean. Voss swallowed. His wrists ached where the cuffs bit. Crowe watched him swallow and kept going, quiet and precise. You want to clear your name. You want to identify the real hand that wrote your override. You want to stop this from becoming permanent. He glanced toward Rivera's body, then away, as if death were an inconvenience. Then you need to move faster than process. Lena shook her head, fierce. You don't move faster than physics. Crowe's gaze stayed on Voss. You don't need to survive, he said. You need to transmit. Voss felt cold in his chest. Transmit what? Crowe nodded toward Lena, as if she were a tool already on the table. She can receive. She has the technical access, the credibility, the discipline. Lena's voice dropped, dangerous. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying, Crowe replied. You want him out of cuffs. I want this resolved. The government wants it quiet. Chronos wants it funded. Everyone wins if he's brave. Voss looked at Lena. Is he right? Can you receive? Lena's eyes held his. Yes, she said. And that's why you can't. Crowe's smile flickered. That's the difference between you two, he said. Dr. Hart is afraid of consequence. You're afraid of being rewritten. Lena's breath hitched. Eli, he is writing you right now. The agent cleared his throat. If he volunteers, that changes jurisdiction. Crowe didn't even look at him. It changes outcome, he said. Voss tasted bile, Rivera's blood climbing, Rivera's shard he didn't have, the footage glitch, the audit line with his name. He stared at Crowe. If I do this, you help Lena. Crowe's eyes softened by a millimeter. It passed for kindness. I will ensure she's protected as far as any system permits. Lena's laugh was small and dead. Hear that? As far as it permits. Voss's voice went quiet. Lena. She shook her head once, hard. Don't do this. What do I do? He asked. Sit here and let them finish the story. Lena stepped in closer, lowering her voice so the hallway would have to strain to steal it. Then let me fight it, she said. Let me move. Let me get the proof. Not you. Crowe's tone turned almost gentle. You're not the one in cuffs. Lena's eyes flashed to him. You're the reason he is. Crowe didn't blink. Voss closed his eyes for half a breath. When he opened them, his decision was already in his posture. Fine, he said. Lena's face tightened, pain contained by force. Eli, no. Crowe's smile warmed, satisfied. Smart, he said, as if he'd just closed a deal. A clipboard appeared with the efficiency of a trap that had been waiting. Chronos Volunteer Program, Beneficiary Nomination, Primary Traveler Dr. Elias Voss, Beneficiary Dr. Lena Hart. The numbers underneath were too clean to belong to bodies. Upfront disbursement, bonus contingent on verified return, automated clawback upon any survival signal, language designed to make coercion sound like responsibility. Lena stared at the page like it was a knife. You don't have to sign, Voss said. Yes, I do, Lena whispered. That's how they bind me to your outcome. Crowe watched, hands folded behind his back, as if observing a product demo. Lena initialed first. Her pen scratched too loudly. Voss initialed second. His signature looked wrong, like a machine had learned his hand. Crowe turned slightly toward the elevator, already moving on. Let's get Dr. Voss to the chamber, he said. They moved fast after that, as if speed could make consent look clean. The cuffs came off and were replaced by something worse. A slim biometric band that cinched around Voss's wrist with a quiet click. No threat in it, just ownership. The federal agent didn't argue jurisdiction anymore. He just watched the paperwork migrate, like a body being shifted from one gurney to another. Lena walked beside Voss, close enough to brush his sleeve, not touching, because touch would be evidence too. Eli, she said, low, tight, for him alone. Listen to me. Crowe doesn't need you to survive. He needs you to vanish in a way that looks voluntary. Voss kept his eyes forward. The hallway lights were too white, too even, designed to erase the idea that anything could happen here that required darkness. Ahead, Crowe didn't look back. He didn't have to. The building was already moving the way he wanted. The elevator doors opened with a soft chime that sounded like a courtesy. They stepped inside. The doors shut. The descent began. Voss felt it in his molars first. Pressure. A subtle shift, like the building was swallowing. On the indicator above the door, levels ticked down without names. Just numbers, just subtraction. Lena's voice dropped further. You can still refuse. And then what? Voss said, barely moving his mouth. I sit upstairs while he finishes writing me. You let me fight, Lena said. You let me move. Crowe turned at last, just enough to catch them in the mirrored panel, like he'd planned the angle. Dr. Hart, he said pleasantly, you're emotional. Lena's stare didn't waver. You're transactional. Crowe's smile showed a fraction of teeth. Correct. The elevator slowed, stopped. The doors opened onto cold air that smelled of bleach and metal and something faintly electrical like heated dust on a circuit board. A corridor stretched ahead, white panels, indirect lighting, no signage, silence curated so it couldn't be called quiet. A drone drifted into view as if it had been waiting. Primary traveler, this way. Primary traveler. The phrase landed hard in Voss's gut. Not suspect, not defendant, not doctor, traveler. They walked. As they neared the first sealed door, Voss heard it. Not a scream, not even a voice, just a wet, strangled sound that ended too quickly. like breath being shut off mid-argument. Lena heard it too. Her hand rose, then fell, helpless and furious. Crowe didn't react. The door recognized the biometric band and unlocked with a hiss. Beyond it, the corridor brightened, and through the glass ahead, Voss saw the chamber. Not messy, not dramatic. Clean, empty, a machine waiting to make an outcome look inevitable. A status panel lit as he approached, crisp and impersonal. Primary, Voss, run 48. Acknowledge consequence. Voss stopped at the threshold. Behind him, the door began to close.